Hello, welcome to Serving the Valley, a production of Cedar Falls Television. They get you up close and personal to what really makes this place kind of nice to call home. And I'm going to give you a good example. I wish I could take you there. Where is there? Where is there? There is Hartman Reserve. I am pretty well acquainted with Hartman Reserve. My parents lived right across the street from the entrance to Hartman Reserve. But where is Hartman Reserve? We have some people who know exactly where it is. In fact, they just came here from there. What pretty territory they had to leave to end up next to me in a studio. But let's say hi to Katie and Katie. Katie Close and Katie Canton have joined us in the studio. Welcome, Katie and Katie.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for joining us. You are both titled as naturalist. What's that mean?
It actually, it's kind of an odd word for environmental educator. So we end up doing things like field trips and summer camps, but then we get to do, even funner things like ban geese and do some more kind of wildlife management, natural resource management. So it encompasses quite a lot.
Excellent. Katie 1 and Katie 2. I'll refer to you kind of that way.
All right.
We'll confuse them before the whole program is over. How long have you been doing this?
I've been in the field since about 2008, I think.
Okay.
2008.
Yeah, and I'm more recent, so I just came on to Hartman in about April, but
Okay.
I've been doing it for about a year total in other counties.
Okay. Why in the world?
Well, it's one of those, I think you kind of fall into it. I don't think anybody grows up, I want to be a naturalist, because let's be honest, nobody really knows what that is most days. But it was just one of those things in college, it just kind of led, and I'm the poster child for internships and things. Definitely get your internships.
Hello.
So I took an internship and I loved it and changed all my schooling around, and here we are.
And here you are.
Right, so.
Where is Hartman Reserve?
Hartman Reserve is located, our mailbox is 657 Reserve Drive, but it's located in the heart of Cedar Falls, Waterloo, right smack dab in the middle. We actually have half of our property is in Waterloo and the other half is in Cedar Falls.
Yes.
Yeah, it gets confusing when we have to call the power company.
I see.
So.
I bet you it does. It's right now, it's 340 acres.
Yes, it's built over time. It started out as a small property up along Grand Boulevard as John C. Hartman originally owned it.
Right, yes.
And then over time, different folks owned it, the YMCA, and then eventually the Conservation Board. And between donations or bequeaths in wills and things like that to outright purchases to leased land, we now encompass 340 acres.
Okay. Now, what does Hartman do for us, the general public?
You want to do this one?
Well, it's
Keeping
just,
in mind we've got to be out of here by midnight.
well, I think one of the great things is that it's just kind of this little gem in the middle of this, metropolitan area. So especially on weekends, we have a lot of people come out and just walk the trails all the time. And then we also have, during the summer is probably our busiest time. So we have summer camps that run from August or from like July to August. And then we also have spring break camps, and then we'll have, programs during the spring, summer, and fall and winter. So
Some examples right there,
Yep.
as a matter of fact. Hartman has changed over the years, however. In fact, it recently really had a very nice change, and what used to be there came down and something new came up. I remember back in the days when they had a swimming pool out there.
Yes, you actually can still, the swimming pool's still under the parking lot. So
Is it really?
It very much is. So it created some, we found it actually when they went in to put a rain garden in and had some drainage issues. Found the pool underneath.
Yes.
So no, we had a very large renovation and construction project in the last few years. It spanned a few, and now we have we did keep a portion of the building, but the entire east wing has been completely rebuilt, and I think speaking for both, it's fabulous.
Yes,
like we can
it's awesome.
fit all the kids when it rains on field trips and things like that, not to mention the amount of community events we can now host. It just is, the upgrade was definitely due.
Excellent. Needless to say, it's a year-round adventure at Hartman Reserve. Does it ever close?
No, well, for select holidays, but other than that, no. A lot of people don't realize that we are open in the wintertime. So things like snowshoeing is a really big, we also have skiers, cross-country skiers down in our below the bluff. And I do have to say, it is one of my favorite times, the wintertime in Hartman. Maybe it's because there aren't as many people out and about, but you get to see wildlife. It's so much easier to see wildlife, deer, owls, even our resident foxes. It's just so much easier to see the wildlife because there's no leaves and brush and things like that. So not to say that any other time isn't beautiful, but the winter, and it's just that quiet, you feel like you're the only one out there. So.
As our kids were growing up, we'd pull the sleds and toboggans over there and probably go down some hills we had no business going down.
Yes,
at
yes,
all.
it does get a little perilous if you decide to go sledding down the bluff, but at your own risk, I guess.
Yes. Let's talk a little about some of the activities that are the organized activities, as opposed to when I took the kids over that was very disorganized. During the year, on the calendar, what are some of the adventures that take place at Hartman? I guess starting as of right now, the next big event is going to be our Under the Harvest Moon auction benefit that happens yearly in November. And then come January, February, March, we host a race series called the Frosty Buns Race Series. So each month we have a race. In January is the Iowa Games Championship Snowshoe Race is held at Hartman. Yes.
And then we have the Winter Warrior Duathlon in February, and then we have the Sticky Stride, which is a trail run the morning of Maple Syrup Festival, which then Maple Syrup Festival comes in March. We also do lots of maple syruping, the actual production of maple syrup in February and March. Oh, yep, there they go. That was a wonderful year. We had like the perfect amount of snow that year. And it is sponsored by the Iowa Games. It is a qualifier. This year's nationals are going to be in Wisconsin. So.
Excellent. And there's your Maple Syrup Festival.
Oh, yep. Yeah, there are some years where there's snow on the ground and others when there's not when you're collecting. And then we do an Earth Fair later on in the year. And then, and that one's beautiful. It's a great, I think it's kind of the first big break for people to get out and enjoy the weather.
Yes.
Summer camps, of course, hit after that. That's a big time. We have a lot of folks in and out of the buildings. And then, let's see, what's next? And then I think Halloween Hikes.
Yep, Halloween Hikes is
That's in October. We do it earlier in October because, A, the weather's a little nicer, and B, there's a lot of other Halloween activities. So we try to let families, get to visit all the different Halloween events here in the Cedar Valley. So we do ours a little earlier. And then November, it starts all over again. So, and then we also have, like I mentioned earlier, summer camps, but we also do big field trip season is going to be in spring and then in the fall. So we do about over 4,000 to 5,000 kids through the center every year. So,
what kind of staff numbers are we talking about that take care of that property?
Well, so we have the Nature Center staff, just the Nature Center staff is going to be about 5 to 6 people. But we are actually part of the Blackhawk County Conservation Board. And so that is about 20 to 23 employees who manage all, not only the programs and things that occur in your parks, campgrounds, things like that, but also the other, almost 9,000 acres of public land is managed by 23 people in the county, so which is quite a lot.
And when you come down to who pays for this and how is that money monitored and taken care of, first of all, where does it come from?
So we are funded by, like I said, the Conservation Board, and so that board we look at like the health department or any other department. So we have a budget every year, and then we provide revenues for offsets of expenses and things like that. And then we also have money that comes from the Friends of Hartman Reserve, which is a nonprofit. They support the educational funding for Hartman programs and activities, and even like certain like small like capital projects and things like that too. It just varies year to year based on what the current projects are at the center.
If someone today, tonight, tomorrow wanted to find out what's going on at Hartman, how do you get that message out? How do you communicate with the general public out there?
If you want to take this one.
Well, we have a website, so it's just hartmanreserve.org, so we'll have everything up on there. We also use social media quite a bit. So Facebook, we usually post what's happening with the events that are coming up, and then we also use like Instagram and Twitter, so we're kind of...
You're with it.
Yeah, we're with it. We're hip and cool.
Yeah.
Excellent. There's a area out there called Hartman Bluff that's a state preserve, certified, if I understand it, under the Iowa DNR. What's different about that?
So that's actually a section of property that was the first section of property that made up what is now called Hartman Reserve. That area has never been logged. It's never been developed. It's never been plowed under. That is, I mean, you're standing in a spot that has absolutely never had, I mean, I shouldn't say human influence because there are trails through it, but there's never been houses. It's never been a backyard. It's never been farm ground. It's never been pasture land. It's been preserved. And so that was one of the big reasons it was eligible to be a state preserve through the Iowa DNR.
I see bikes out there too.
Yeah, so we have trails. We have hard surface, the South Riverside Bike Trail, which connects through the rest of the system, runs through Hartman. And then on north of the hard surface trail, we also allow bikes. We have soft trails, lots of mountain biking trails and things like that through there. If you're interested in those mountain biking or like soft trails, you can go CVAS, Cedar Valley Association for Soft Trails. They help us with management of that. They also have maps on their website if you're interested in discovering them for the first time.
Somebody's driving around the area up there back through the woods and comes to the entrance and they drive in. There's a parking lot right there. There's a trail that begins right there. How long is that trail? About?
Well, to get from there down to the building is just a short 5-10 minute walk, depending how how little the legs are you're taking with you, especially with the little ones. But that connects in with the rest of the trail system. So there's just a series of connected loops. So you could technically start there and end up all the way next to the river if you really wanted to. Probably, I would say, I mean, that would be maybe like 20-30 minutes-ish, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Probably to get all, if you, beelined it down to the river. But there's lots, there's lots to see along the way. So it's usually not a, direct line. Usually.
Right.
Lots of things to see along the way.
As far as activity and the ages of the participants in the activity, let's talk a little bit about how you reach out to the general public, the little folks.
Yeah, do you want to take this one?
Katie, why don't you take that one?
Yeah, so we're working on bringing back a program for little tiny guys. So we're going to have hopefully a monthly program for the smaller ones, or homeschoolers too can definitely come to this. And then we'll also have some open to the public programs kind of scattered throughout. So, definitely check out our Facebook page for those events too. But really, it's a lot of, usually we get calls for people to come out, like schools, or we go out to schools, and then summer camps also. And then we also have tram rides, which are very fun and exciting. So people can call, it's just like a program, and we'll give you a nice little ride, through Hartman and those areas down there. Yeah.
And that's a great one for folks with mobility issues.
That's where I was going, because there's the parking lot up above. There's also a drop-off area you can go down the road to get closer to the buildings. So you don't have to make that walk down or wheelchair run.
And the new building is, of course, ADA specs, so you can get all through the building. They're in the process of redoing. Our sidewalk is going to be, all the way down is going to be ADA accessible as well. But yes, you can definitely drive down and drop folks off too.
Okay. Are you ever looking for volunteers, or do you have all the volunteers you ever needed, so please don't call?
We're always looking for volunteers. So another part of my job, besides being a naturalist, is I also coordinate all the volunteers. So we can do anything from picking up trash on the trail, which thankfully is not usually a lot. Mulching trails is our big thing right now, so we always need trails that need to be mulched, especially after it rains a lot. And then any sort of other outdoor thing, so cutting back brush, and then also our inside things, so being our front desk greeter, we could always use help for that. And then any help with events too. That's especially where we usually need a lot of volunteers. So our Halloween hikes this past October, we had lots of volunteers and they did awesome. They were great help.
Excellent. So as far as contacting the people who would put you in touch with what opportunities are available for volunteering is concerned, can you find that on those websites?
Yep, you can, or you can just give Hartman a call too. And then you would ask for Katie Canton, and I'll get you in, hooked up with a volunteer opportunity.
Okay. What's the biggest need right now, other than, people writing checks and so forth? As far as what's going on at Hartman, there's been a lot going on over the past couple of years at Hartman, some of which has just had a ribbon cutting not too many months ago. What's next at Hartman?
What's next? Well, that's what we're constantly asking
Yes.
ourselves. The big thing, we are going to be hitting some events here in the next few months, but ongoing, we always just need folks. Big is front desk folks. These are people that kind of are allowing, visitors when they first walk in the door. Sometimes it's really basic questions like, where's the bathroom? Things like that, where, we're back in our office, so it's lovely to have a friendly face when somebody walks in the door. And, with schedules, and people are so busy nowadays too, that, we really try to keep that staffed as much as possible, but we are always looking for more folks to come and help, as well as even folks on field trips. So when we do programming and things like that, a lot of former teachers and education staff will contact us if we need help, assistance on field trips, which we definitely do, and it doesn't have to be just education folks, but if that's something that you're interested in, that's another way. I mean, my gosh, we do, field trips seem to never end at our jobs, so we do it all year round. So we always need help. I mean, we do field trips from anywhere from 10 kids to 220 kids, so we always need lots of assistance in that regard. And then the trails, wood chips break down constantly. They're always decomposing, so it's a constant cycle of putting more things on the trail.
What I have found over the years, and we said it at the beginning of the program, it's this little island of nature in the middle of everything else that's going on in the world and around us. And to be able to drive that road and pull into that area, it's like you're almost like a miniature national park. And it's got that feature about it. Without being so huge, you've got to go, pay a fee.
Right.
It's free.
Yeah, it's a wonderful resource. I always, you don't have to, go on this massive trip and spend all this money, getting there and things. There's wilderness right here in Iowa. That's one thing we also try to highlight when we do like our spring break camp, for example, is road trip spring break. So we take kids to other local areas, maybe that's a little bit outside of Waterloo Cedar Falls, that maybe they've never been before. We've taken kids to ice caves. We've taken kids up to Pikes Peak. We've taken them, stomping through creeks that, as a parent, if that's not your thing, that's our thing. So we can really there's wilderness right here in Iowa, and I think families in the Cedar Valley have quite the opportunity here in Black Hawk County, especially with Hartman, but with George West State Park and Black Hawk Park and lots of other parks that are scattered around the area. There's lots of great resources.
Good idea for a place for birthday parties and just.
Yes, we have hosted everything from, somebody hosted a fairy birthday party, which I thought was the cutest thing ever, in the middle of a woodland. But even just like adventure birthday parties, we do Boy Scout, Girl Scout stuff. We've done lots of homeschool things.
Just senior pictures are taken,
Oh,
especially
yes.
now.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
Sure.
Yeah, lots and lots of photographers
Yes.
are out and
Yes.
about. So it's definitely a resource that not many other urban areas have. Lots of places that it's more rural is where your nature centers are going to be out in the middle of a gravel road.
Sure.
I mean, I think we are fantastically situated within our community.
The wonder of Hartman Reserve.
And I do have to say my office window looks pretty good too.
Yeah.
I bet you've got a beautiful scene out your window
Right.
year-round. As always, we are playing Beat the Clock with every one of the programs we do here serving the Valley, and usually the clock has won, and it has. Thanks to Katie for joining us today. Hartman Reserve, get out of wherever you are and go visit Hartman Reserve. and until our next opportunity unfolds. Roy Justice here saying thank you. Thank you for joining us. We are always serving the Valley.